You ever stop and think about how those truly mind-blowing innovations, the ones that just make you go, whoa, how do they even think of that? How do those things actually come to be?
Right. Yeah, because it's not usually some lone genius.
Right.
More often than not, it's about people coming together, bouncing ideas off each other. And that's exactly the kind of space we're exploring today. It's all about the power of collaboration, especially when it comes to the exciting world of computing.
And for this deep dive, we dug into some really interesting resources. We found these 2 videos on YouTube from the Legrand Bulldog esports channel. And at first you might think, esports? What's that got to do with computer science? But they make a really strong case for how teamwork and that shared creative energy are at the heart of building anything amazing, especially in the digital world. Totally. And what I loved about these videos is they don't just tell you, hey, collaboration is good. They actually get into the nitty-gritty of how to do it well. So today, we're on a mission to break down those key principles, those practical methods, so you can walk away with insights you can use in your own projects, whether you're coding the next big app or leading a team effort in any field, really.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So let's jump right in. One of the core ideas that pops up is that computing innovations, no matter what form they take, are pretty much always better when people work together on them. And these videos bring that to life with some really cool examples.
Yeah, the one that really stuck with me was the glimpse inside Facebook's Building 22. It's not your average office setup, right? They showed these wide open spaces and these cool meeting rooms, they call them white boxes, where anyone can just walk in and collaborate. Even the outdoor areas were designed for those chance encounters, those spontaneous brainstorming sessions. So the key takeaway for you as a listener is that even the physical environment can be shaped to encourage those unexpected moments where ideas collide. It makes you think about your own workspace or how your team is structured and whether it helps or hinders those accidental sparks of innovation.
And what's mind-boggling about a company like Facebook is the sheer number of specialized teams they have, all working together. You've got artists, sound designers, video editors, the Android folks, the iOS developers, the list goes on. And then you factor in all those other platforms they own, like Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus. These are huge interconnected systems with so many moving parts. It's the way all these diverse groups collaborate, each bringing their own expertise, their own perspectives, that leads to innovations that really connect with people all over the world. It's not just about individual coding skills, It's about that mix of talents and viewpoints coming together.
Absolutely. And it's good to remember that computing innovation isn't just limited to software like those apps we use every day, Facebooks and Instagrams. It's also about physical objects like self-driving cars, which are essentially super complex combinations of hardware and software working together in real time. And even those big abstract concepts like e-commerce, they rely heavily on collaborative computing infrastructure to even function.
Exactly. Collaboration isn't just a nice to have. It's like the foundation for pushing the limits of what we can do in the digital world. And speaking of pushing limits, the videos then dive into the world of gaming, which, let's be honest, is a hotbed of creativity and innovation, all driven by teams working together.
And this brings us to the story of Super Mario Bros. 2, which is a perfect example of how collaboration and even a bit of healthy disagreement can lead to something amazing. We're talking Shigeru Miyamoto here, right? A legend. The video compares him to Stan Lee, the man behind Mario, Zelda, Kirby, so many iconic characters. Well, he actually created a first version of Super Mario Bros. 2, but there was a catch.
Yeah, apparently this original SMB2 was pretty much just a reskinned version of the first game. And from what I hear, it was crazy hard. Nintendo of America wasn't too sure it would fly in the Western market. Enter Kensuke Tanabe, another member of Miyamoto's team. He was working on a different game, Doki Doki Panic.
Now, here's where things get interesting. Doki Doki Panic had this really distinct vertical level design, and it even had features for 2 players to cooperate. Miyamoto, being the innovator he is, suggested adding horizontal levels to the mix, which was more his signature style at the time. And the key takeaway here is that collaboration isn't always easy. Sometimes it's those bumps in the road, those different viewpoints, even those initial disagreements that spark the most innovative ideas.
Totally. So what ended up happening? Doki Doki Panic, with those added horizontal levels, actually became Super Mario Bros. 2 here in America. It kept that unique blend of vertical and horizontal levels, even if you didn't see them both in the same level. A perfect example of how one person's idea can be completely transformed and made even better through collaboration, and by taking inspiration from another project that seemed totally different at first.
And the story goes on. When they started developing Super Mario Bros. 3, The teamwork between Tanabe, the lead level designer, and Miyamoto, the director, well, they really stepped things up. That's when we got those groundbreaking level designs, where you could move left, right, up, down, all at the same time. You could even go behind the scenes. It was a huge leap forward, both technically and creatively.
And the video emphasizes this crucial point. Collaboration, especially when you have different perspectives involved, helps to reduce bias when you're developing something. Think about it. If it had been just one person working alone, they might have missed those truly innovative ideas. It was the back and forth, the listening, the sharing of ideas that led to those games that we all love. So we've seen how collaboration drives big innovations, both in huge tech companies like Facebook and in the creative world of gaming. Now let's switch gears and talk about some practical strategies you can use to make your own collaborations even better.
Sounds good. Let's get into the hands-on stuff. One of the key methods they talk about is pair programming. I've always been fascinated by this. Can you walk us through how it actually works?
Sure. In pair programming, you basically have two programmers working side by side at one computer on the same code. One person is the driver, and their job is to write the code. The other person is the observer, sometimes called the pointer or navigator. Their job is to watch every line of code as it's being typed, looking for errors, suggesting ways to make the code better or more efficient, and just generally offering a different way of looking at things.
And they really stress that it's super important to switch those roles often, right? So both partners get a chance to be in the driver's seat and to be the observer. That sounds great in theory, but what about personality clashes? What if the driver and the observer have very different coding styles or levels of experience? How do you deal with those potential conflicts in pair programming?
That's a really important question, and a practical one too. Pair programming thrives on two minds working together. But it does need good communication and respect to work well. The observer needs to give feedback that's helpful, focusing on the code, not on criticizing the driver personally. Switching roles regularly helps build understanding and empathy for each other's approaches. And, talking openly about goals and preferred styles up front can really help to reduce friction. It's also about realizing that different skill levels can actually be a good thing. A more experienced programmer can mentor a less experienced one, and the less experienced person might bring fresh ideas and challenge assumptions.
I can see that. Another strategy they mentioned is think pair share, something I've encountered in different learning environments. How does that work in a computing context?
Think pair share is a way to encourage both individual thinking and group discussion in a structured way. It has 3 steps. First, everyone takes a moment to think about a problem or task on their own. This initial solo thinking is key because it lets each person form their own ideas and potential solutions without being swayed by others right away. It helps to prevent groupthink and encourages a wider range of initial approaches.
Gotcha, that's the think part. What's next?
Then comes the pair step. After thinking on their own, people pair up with a partner to share those ideas they came up with. This one-on-one discussion is a chance to compare approaches, get immediate feedback, and start refining your thinking together. You get to test out your ideas and see how someone else interprets the problem.
And lastly, the share part.
Right. In share, you take those results from the pair discussions and share them with a larger group, maybe the whole class or the whole team. But the video points out that even just the think and pair steps can be really valuable for coming up with stronger, more well-thought-out solutions. They use a great analogy of playing charades. You know how your first interpretation of what someone's acting out, even if it's wrong, can stick in your mind? The think stage helps you avoid that kind of bias when you're working on a coding problem. It lets you form your own understanding before being influenced.
I love that charades analogy. It really makes it click. Now, another tip they give, one that I think often gets overlooked, is leaving comments in your code. It seems like a small thing, but they make a strong case for why it's so important for collaboration.
It is. The videos give several reasons why comments are crucial, especially when you're working with others. First, it's a direct way to communicate with your collaborators. You're explaining your logic, the purpose of specific sections of code, the overall approach you've taken. Second, and this is huge, it's like leaving a message for your future self. If you come back to a project after a while, those comments can be lifesavers. They help you remember what you were thinking and why you did things a certain way.
Oh, tell me about it. I can't count how many times I've looked at code I wrote a few weeks ago and thought, what in the world was I doing here?
Exactly. They also talk about how comments are essential for giving credit, where it's due acknowledging any code, libraries, or media you've used from other sources. It's all about academic honesty and ethical coding. And of course, comments can help you show who did what in a team project and clarify how the code works. especially when you're dealing with complicated functions or algorithms. Even if your programming language doesn't directly support comments in every situation, they suggest using external editors or separate documents to provide those explanations.
All really practical advice. Now, they also talk about specific tools and platforms that can make collaborative computing a lot smoother. What are some of the key ones they mention?
They highlight several great tools. One is Replit, which they praise for its real-time multiplayer coding feature. It lets multiple people work on the same code at the same time, and it supports tons of different programming languages, so it's super versatile. Then there's GitHub, which they present as a platform for broader collaboration on software projects. At its core, GitHub is a system for tracking all the changes made to code over time. Think of it like a really detailed version history for your projects. This allows several people to work on the same code base without stepping on each other's toes, and it makes it easy to go back to older versions if needed, which is super helpful for teamwork. It works with repositories where you can share projects, leave comments, and even get contributions from a whole community of developers.
Yeah, I know lots of developers who swear by GitHub. It sounds like it's not just for real-time collaboration, but also for managing and sharing projects throughout the whole development process. And the videos mention that having a well-organized GitHub repository with your cool projects can be a great way to show off your skills to potential employers or schools, too. Apart from these dedicated platforms, they also mention the simple but effective method of using shared documents or folders, which is great for sharing code and other media within smaller, closer-knit teams.
Absolutely. And another crucial aspect of collaboration is actually seeking and incorporating feedback. The videos specifically recommend user testing as a great way to get diverse perspectives. Encourage your friends and family, people who might not be as tech-savvy, to try out your program and give you their honest opinions. It can be really eye-opening. They can often spot usability issues or uncover problems that you or your teammates might have missed. It's all about gathering those different viewpoints to find potential flaws and areas for improvement. They do point out a specific restriction for the Create test in the APCSP curriculum, where you can only collaborate with one partner. And of course, they advise always checking with your instructors about the specific coding platforms and collaboration rules for your classes.
It sounds like beyond the technical stuff in computing, collaboration also really helps you develop some crucial people skills.
For sure. The videos specifically mention communication, consensus building, conflict resolution, and negotiation as essential interpersonal skills that you hone through collaborative work. These aren't just good for coding, they're transferable skills that are valuable in pretty much any job or industry. Being able to communicate your ideas clearly, reach agreements through discussion, handle disagreements in a constructive way, and negotiate solutions that work for everyone. These are all vital for successful teamwork and making sure your contributions are heard and valued.
It reminds me of that proverb they shared in the videos. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. That really captures the power of combining different talents and perspectives to achieve something bigger than anyone could do on their own. And that emphasis on actively getting feedback from users to get those diverse viewpoints and find those blind spots is so important for building programs that are truly robust, user-friendly, and meet real needs.
Couldn't agree more. And they encourage everyone to explore all those other online collaboration tools that are out there. The digital world is constantly changing, with new platforms popping up all the time, so finding the tools that work best for your team can make a huge difference.
So to wrap it all up, what we've learned from this deep dive is that collaboration is way more than just a buzzword. It's a fundamental part of creating truly innovative and robust computing solutions. By bringing together different talents, experiences, and ways of thinking, we can reduce bias, spark more creative and groundbreaking ideas, and ultimately build things that are way better than we could ever do alone. And the good news is, there are tons of practical strategies and powerful tools out there to help us collaborate more effectively. From structured approaches like pair programming and think, pair, share, to those versatile platforms like Replit and GitHub.
And this brings us to a question for you, our listener. Thinking about those examples and strategies we've talked about, is there one area in your life, maybe in your work, your studies, or even a personal project, where more intentional, more effective collaboration could lead to a breakthrough? Or how might actively seeking out different perspectives and really listening to those different viewpoints, even when you're working solo, change the way you approach problem solving and innovation? It's definitely something worth considering.
Food for thought for sure.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
See you then.